Jai Ganaraya, Shri Ganaraya, Jai Ganaraya, Shri Ganaraya, Mangalamurti Moria. Om Shri Sai Baba. My humble pronounce at the lotus feet of our beloved Bhagavan. On this auspicious occasion of Swami's 95th birthday, I want to thank Swami and all of our brothers and sisters of the Sathya Sai Center for providing this wonderful opportunity to allow me to share a few experiences with our dear Lord Sai. So, just a few moments ago, I just shared a small verse. In bhajan terminology, that is usually referred to as an alap, and it is more so a prelude or an intro to certain Sai bhajans, because it has a it holds a very important place in my life, especially my childhood. Little did I realize that when I actually started practicing it in front of Swami's pictures and doing it repeatedly over and over again, I began to truly understand what was happening. What I would see is when I would offer an alap, the serenity, the soothingness that it would provide. And when I close my eyes, it would actually give me instant visuals of Swami in different forms. What I mean by that is I would see Swami sometimes giving a darshan in Parthi, or sometimes him sitting on his jula and rocking back and forth, or sometimes his mischievous smile. And many other visuals, right? So I began to realize what the actual essence of that was and why I was feeling so connected. So a brief history about myself. I was born in Bahrain in a Sai family. So our trips to India, which would happen once every couple of years, when we would go to visit family and friends, one of our top priorities would be to see Swami, whether it was in Parthi or Vrindavan. And I love that. I loved the fact that the priorities that my parents instilled right when I was younger, and what a difference it made in my life. Just that excitement of driving to Parthi, whether it was in a car or a bus ride or other means, and then just as that excitement starts bubbling in you, right, as you get closer to Parthi. Then the excitement grows to get settled in, but then run for Swami's darshan. Then in those days we would sit outside the mandir on the hot, beautiful white sands, and then we are hoping to get a good token number, right? So that way we can get as close to Swami, be in more proximity with him physically as we are seeing him. Just that pining for his darshan, and as close as we can as we can get. So this continued every couple of years. Every couple of years it was a different experience as it was growing on a personal and spiritual level. So one such experience that I do want to share is when I was probably about 3 years of age, if I remember correctly. We were making a customary trip to Parthi. And this time around, my parents actually handed me off what I would say a 4x6 chalkboard, and the instructions were basically that when you get a chance to see Swami in darshan, take the chalkboard and hand it off to Swami, and he will inscribe something, right? And so for me, it was a whole sense of excitement. I wasn't, I was probably too young to figure out that, hey, it may or may not happen. For me, it was more like it is going to happen. So it became something that I wanted. As luck would have it, we ended up getting, I think, the second or third row. I was sitting with my mom, and sure enough, Swami came out of his mandir, and darshan began. And he walked to the lady's side, and I was all excited, ready to hand the chalkboard to him. That excitement was all, all my pulses were racing fast, and then everything just went lopsided, right? Why? Because Swami came by, but he just gave probably a quick glance, and then he walked across to the other ladies, and then walked away to the gents side. I was overcome with a lot of anguish, as you can imagine, a 3-year-old, right? So I burst into tears. I started crying. My mom, the ladies were sitting next to me. They tried to console me and say, it's okay, it happens. You can always try the next time. But, for me, in my mind, it was like, I need to get this. And Swami, you have not given me this, right? It just felt like I was missing something so strong that, I needed from Swami. I just needed it. So I was just crying profusely. I don't know if my voice rang around the ashram, but that's how loud I felt I was crying. And so I started sulking away, and then I, just briefly looked away from Swami, and then I was just looking at my mom and this, continuing to tear up. And what I was being told was that Swami would make his first round, and then he would go and sit on his throne, and that was it for darshan that day. And then, of course, we would go through bhajans and all that, and then we would come the next time for darshan. So I knew that this was my chance, and I basically lost it. But as Swami was walking towards the gent side and I was sulking away, if you will, I felt this sudden sensation within me. I couldn't understand what it was, but I knew I was going to figure it out soon. So sure enough, I actually had my mom and the ladies next to me actually gasp and start patting me and saying, hey, look, something is happening. So I started looking up. Well, what I saw was Swami was making his customary round away from the gent side, but instead of going to the throne where he would be seated, he actually was walking right back to do round number 2. It was very rare, at least from what I was told, that it usually was 1 round and that was it. So my excitement perked up again, and sure enough, actually this time around, Swami walked straight to where my mom and I was seated. He came to me with if I remember correctly, he was showing his hand, asking like, what happened? So my face and all was tear stained. So I just took the board and I gave it to him, and and the chalk as well. And he inscribed an Om on the board, and he handed it back to me. And then he blessed me, and almost with an inquisitive question saying, "Are you happy now?" And I was thrilled, right? I was smiling, I was gushing, I was so excited that Swami actually did this. It felt like I can still see him in my with my eyes closed. I can see him standing right in front of me. That was the essence of it. But what I realized was, when we pine for the Lord, when we wholeheartedly cry out and ask something from Him, genuine, pure, He's always there for us. He's always there with us, around us, in us, and blessing us always and taking care of us. So on that note, I will just conclude with this bhajan. Sai Ram. Bhagavan Patita Pavana Daya Karo, Daya Karo, Daya Karo Bhagavan. He Patita Pavana Deen Dayalu Parama Kripalu, Deen Dayalu Parama Kripalu, Raksha Karo.